What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a test and combo video for the second place Yubel profile I showed you all the other day. Now the reason for this video is just to kind of give you a bit of a lowdown on how Yubel operates, especially when you are using the strategy of the Promethean Princess into the Amber Whale as well, as there are a couple of stumbling blocks that a lot of people either lock themselves into or think they're locked in when they really aren't. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. If you don't want to see more Yubel content, different variants, or dedicated combo videos, then make sure you smash that like button above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, and I will be more than happy to bring that for you. With all of that out of the way, after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, we'll start with an opening hand of 5, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, clearly we're playing Yubel on this one, and the best thing about that is we've opened up Throne and Samsara, and even 1-for-1, so we have direct access to full combo, which is insane. So you're going to start off by activating the Nightmare Throne. This is going to get you direct access to add a Fiend with 0/0, and we're going to be going for, you guessed it, Dark Beckoning Beast. Now, if you do get Drolled, you do cry a little bit, but Drolled is now being shifted more into the side deck. If you do get Drolled, you can still go 1-for-1 into a Samsara D Lotus, or normal summon down a Samsara D Lotus, tribute this off, get you into a Spirit. Spirit can then set an Eternal Favourite. You can activate Nightmare Pain. Unfortunately, you won't be able to destroy, but at least with the Eternal Favourite or the Nightmare Pain, you're still forcing your opponent to attack. So there are ways to play around it. It's not ideal, it's not nice, but it happens. You then start off by normal summoning Dark Beckoning. This is going to get you access to your opening Spirit Gates. You're going to activate this, and this will get you access to your second Dark Beckoning. You're now also in a good position that if you're worried about Nibiru, you can actually set it up quite nicely, which is great. 1-for-1 is kind of one of them ones that's more of a win con. Like if we didn't see Samsara, we technically have a 4th copy of it with 1-for-1, but because we've seen it, it's quite irrelevant. So you're going to normal summon down Samsara off your additional of the Dark Beckoning. You're going to use Samsara's effect to tribute it off to get you a Spirit into rotation, wherever it may be. Spirit could naturally get you a Nightmare Pain. If you're worried about a second, like a Ghost Ogre, you can go for a second Nightmare Pain. In this scenario, I'm probably going to go for a Mature Chronicle. I actually quite like getting access to the Mature Chronicle because of the options to get to Super Poly and everything else. And with this, the way this hand's opened up, we're in actually an insanely good position. So we're going to activate Nightmare Pain, and now you have 2 options. Option number 1, you discard this Dark Beckoning Beast off of the back of the opening Spirit Gates, bring it back, overlay it, Gym Buster, protect from Nib. Great success. That's option number 1. Option number 2, you go, I don't care if you've got Nibiru. If you've got Nibiru, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold back the opening Spirit Gates until I have the ability to get into an Appaloosa, and then I'm going to put you in a position of Nib me now, or I'm making Appaloosa and dealing with it. So you've got 2 options on that one, entirely up to you on how you want to play it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by activating Nightmare Pain. If you are going to go down the Jin route, you want to use that first and then start activating Nightmare Pain, and that way you're well protected from your 5th summon. We'll activate Nightmare Pain, we'll get rid of Spirit of Yubel. This, of course, will allow you to get access to Grave Squirmer. You're also then going to be able to float your Spirit of Yubel into the OG Yubel as well. So that's going to get you everything you need to. And if that wasn't enough, you can also trigger Nightmare Throne as Chainlink 1 or 2. And this will also get you access to your Terra Incarnate, which is just going to give you more fodder to the board to create your Link summons. On top of that as well, your Mature Chronicle will gain 2 counters as it's every time a monster is summoned. What you want to do here is use Terra Incarnate and the Dark Beckoning Beast. It only use Dark Beckoning if you're 100% not doing Jin, but if you were going to do Jin, you would have done it a while ago anyway. Go into your Unchained Soul Lord Yama. This will get you direct access to your Shavara. Now again, you still have loads of different options, so I wouldn't worry about rushing into anything as of yet. What you can do here is you can summon down your Grey Squirmer. This will then give you another counter on your Chronicle. You can also use Grey Squirmer's effect to pop the Yubel, and in doing so, this will float into a Terra. And the reason you're going to do that is that will then give you an additional counter on here. So you're basically moving your way to search out the Super Poly with the greatest of ease. Then what you want to do here is use Grey Squirmer specifically and your Yama, and this will give you direct access to your Rage, and that's going to get your Rage into rotation. You can use Shavara now if you want to, but honestly save it, we're going to be adding more to this board. Use your Rage plus your Terra Incarnate and get you into a Promethean Princess. This now gets this into rotation. Actually, before you do that, sorry, so keep it down as Rage. I've skipped a step. You want to use your Grey Squirmer first. There we go. Bring back your Spirit of Yubel. getting all that into rotation. Then use your Shavara to pop the Spirit of Yubel. Spirit of Yubel, of course, this will now go up to 5. Spirit of Yubel will float into original Yubel, putting this up to 6. So you've now got plenty of counters and you've got monsters on the board. Then what you want to do here is you want to make sure you're using your Shavara plus your Rage. This will then let you get into Promethean Princess, which at that exact point you were Fiend Lock, but believe it or not, Promethean Princess is a Fiend. Trigger Shavara's effect. This will allow you to set the trap card, the Abominable Chamber. And now you can activate Promethean Princess's effect to revive the Yama back from the grave. Now, as you saw, when I destroyed with the Shavara, if I wanted to, I could have changed the Yama's effect. I actually quite like the option of leaving it in the graveyard because it does provide you with another form of interruption. Like if you activate the trap card because your opponent's tried to chain the back row or like a dust or anything and bring this back and they negate this, as soon as they destroy it, you just go, okay, cool, Yama, bring it back anyway. So you're still in a very good position. So now you're currently fire locked, so you're going to want to use these two here, and this is going to get you into your Amber Whale, now unlocking you from all of the fire lock you were possibly in at that point. Now keep in mind, we still have the ability of using Opening Spirit Gates. We haven't used that yet, and we still haven't even used Mature Chronicle. The only thing you need to remember that you want to get rid of is the Terra Incarnate. You do not want to leave that on the board because in your end phase, it will attempt to nuke your entire board. So you do need to make sure you're getting rid of this in some form of Link style. Now, you've got two options here. Number one, you can link both of these together. This can get you into an IP leading to an SP if you play it. It can also get you into a Muckcracker. It really is up to you. On top of that as well, you also have the ability of being able to revive one with the Mature Chronicle. So it depends on how far you want to go with it. So with our graveyard as it currently stands, we've got a Promethean Princess with a pop and a float, plus the Amber Whale once it's in the graveyard with a pop. We've got Rage that can come back off of the chamber, and then we've got Yama that could also bring back Rage or technically any Fiend monster. Go figure. We still have Opening Spirit Gates. I'm going to keep the Spirit of Yubel in my hand so that if my opponent does attack me, I can special summon this down. So we'll ditch the Dark Beckoning Beast. This will then allow me to bring back a Spirit of Yubel. And the best thing about this, because we've got two Yubels in rotation, is technically you could activate the Mature Chronicle to destroy this if you wanted to. But it really comes down to, do you want the rank 10 or do you want Super Poly? So depends what's going to be more effective for you in that particular matchup. But on this one, what we'll do here is we'll probably put these two together. Let me just double check if we've got the second Yubel in rotation. We haven't got the second Yubel in rotation yet. Not the big issue. Going to Muckcracker. Now, this is where I'd actually like to go back to playing the Barricade Borg blocker, because I can still do the exact same thing. But with Barricade Borg, this, and this is all protected. So I kind of feel that would be a better way of doing it. Now, of course, you could discard a card and bring back for Muckcracker, but then you'll be Fiend Locked. So you want to make sure you remove one from this, putting this down to 5. This will then allow you to bring back your Spirit, overlay your Spirit and your Yubel. This then gives you an Omni Negate to deal with evenly matched. Now, there are different ways of being able to change this end board up, like I've said, but the idea is what you've got is you've got more resource in the graveyard. You've tried to balance everything out, and what I mean by that is you've balanced resource by making sure you've got cards in your hand to utilize. If you were to go for, rather than going for the rank 10 and reviving off of this, you would go for Super Poly. And in doing so, you'd actually bring back the Samsara D Lotus in the end phase. And you can end your board with a Yubel, a Super Poly with discard fodder. And you could tribute off the Muckcracker to leave you with a Samsara D Lotus as well. So you would have Yubel, Samsara D Lotus with a Yama, a Abominable Chamber, and a Promethean all in rotation ready to go. And you'd also then have the ability of being able to set up with a Spirit and a 1-for-1. In this scenario, what I've done, because something like evenly match might be a bit more damaging, is we now have changed that Samsara D Lotus and a Super Poly for a rank 10 in the form of the Vardrath. Plus, we've got protection off the Muckcracker if our Fiends would be destroyed, which at the moment it doesn't matter because it's a machine and a worm. The only thing that we have played into is we have played into a bit of a Super Poly target right here because we've got two Darks with different types. So this actually runs into a Mud Dragon. So you do need to be a little bit careful on that. But if they're going to Super Poly to get rid of both of these, they're basically swapping a Super Poly and a discard for an Omni Negate. And you're like, yeah, okay, cool. Well, I've still got Chamber to go. And Chamber then leads me. So what we'll do, just for the sake of playing through to show you what we've got. So we'll keep these two in our hand. Just remember these are in our hand. But what we now have is if your opponent special summons, now keep in mind if you bring this back, you will lock yourself into fire. So you need to be switched on with this. What you'll probably want to start off with first is you're going to start off with the Abominable Chamber. This will then allow you to bring back your Rage. Your opponent special summons a monster, you use Rage to link with it, so you're getting rid of both of those. That will then get you into an SP. So we're just going to use the blue dice to calculate what we've done. So we've linked off one of our opponent's monsters. We're then going to use SP to banish one of their cards. So that's 2 forms of interruption. They activate a monster effect. If you want to protect any of these, we can make them run away. Otherwise, we can just get rid of SP Little Knight and one other monster. So we'll just banish that. So that's 3 forms of disruption so far. We've got the Omni Negate off of the back of the Valdrath. We'll make sure we detach Yubel. So that's interruption number 4. Your opponent tries to destroy something. You've got the ability of using Yama to bring a card back. So that could technically be a form of interruption number 5. Your opponent uses special summons a monster from the special summons the monster to the board. You can use Princess. So this is definitely option number 5. Destroys the Amber Whale. Your opponent then tries to kill either of these. Fine. You then use Amber Whale to banish and pop. That's interruption number 6. Not to mention you could also pop off the back of this as well if you wanted to. Then your opponent destroys your, I don't know, let's say they try to destroy any of these cards. You go, yeah, okay, cool. Use Yama, banish, bring back Rage. And the reason you would do this is that if it then comes back to your turn, you can just Rage with any of your monsters to go into an Anguish, and then Anguish link up into one of your opponent's monsters. So that's technically like 6 forms of interruption, not to remember the revival. And at the very least, it comes back to your turn. They haven't got rid of Chronicle. You search out a Super Poly and you go, cool. All I need to do is get a Spirit of Yubel to the board or a Yubel, discarding this, bring back Yubel off of the back of the Spirit Gates, and that's your Super Poly clearing off the entire board and then pushing through for an OTK. So loads of different ways of how that can adapt. All I'm trying to say, like, you can never guarantee what your opponent has exactly, but you've just got forms of interruption, which would have been quite helpful for you. Plus with the Omni Negate, which might be a little bit better in the Tempai matchup, you just negate the field spell. If they got a second one, so be it. But as soon as that field spell hits the board, your Rage is dead, Super Poly's dead, Promethean Princess, slightly dead, but you can use it during the battle phase. So you do need to be a little bit careful of what else you can do. So that was a very in-depth hand. We'll now go second, and what I'll do is I'll show you the OTK through the Promethean Princess play as well, just so you can be like, oh, that's how it works. And basically the idea is you play the rank 10, or you get the rank 10 on the board, and then you pop the Amber Whale after you've already attacked, and then that will allow you to float back the Promethean Princess, which is great success. So shuffling up and cutting up. Our opening hand of 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty cracked. And because we're going second, 6. Ooh, okay. Always a hand trap for 6. Every time. Anyway, start off by special summoning down Fenrir. I personally choose not to search off of Fenrir unless I'm trying to bait something out on the board. And even then, it's very rare that your opponent's going to take that bait. So activate the throne. This will then give you access to the one you're missing, which will be the Dark Beckoning Beast. Or Samsara Delights if you don't already have it or you don't want it. We'll go into Dark Beckoning. If the opponent's board is fretful in some way or another, you can just Super Poly off the most fretful card, get into a Garura or something else. But you'd go Dark Beckoning. This will then give you access to the Gate. Gate will then give you access to another Dark Beckoning, wherever it may be. Now that you've done your searches, you know you don't need to worry about a Droll. So then you would search out another Fenrir, so you've got that discard fodder. So wherever it may be. Third and final Fenrir. So now you've got your discard advantage and everything else you need to. So you're kind of just looping around resource. Go into Lotus. Lotus effect, get this to the graveyard. Gets you Spirit. Spirit will get you Nightmare Pain. No brainer. Now at this point you're on a 4th summon. So if you do an R Fearful of a Nibiru, you're going to want to make sure you go for a Gin Buster. So that's one extra thing you do by adding Fenrir to the board is you do push yourself in, but you still have opening Spirit Gates, you haven't used that yet, you still got Nightmare Pain and everything else in between. So use Nightmare Pain, destroy the Spirit of Yubel. This will then give you access to float into original Yubel, but I'm just getting ahead of myself. Mature Chronicle, just for the float. Not Mature Chronicle, sorry. Where am I going? Grave Squirmer. So Grey Squirmer, and then you'd go Spirit of Yubel 1, Throne 2, so this will get you normal Yubel and Terra Incarnate. So now you're getting your resources on the board. Again, if they want to Nibiru you here, absolutely fine. You still have the ability to revive and move your plays further forward as you see fit, because you still got the Spirit Gates in rotation. If you are that fearful of a Nibiru, you could literally just link all of these off together if you wanted to, and go into a Appaloosa. So it really is up to you. Then what you do is use Terra Incarnate in the Dark Beckoning Beast, 2 Fiends, which is really important. Go into Yama. Yama's Vet trigger to get you the Shavara. And again, you're kind of putting your opponent in a position of, I'm just gaining resource at this moment. If you want to start interrupting me, you want to try and Nibiru me, now's kind of the time. So then what we'll do here is we can use Shavara's effect, summon itself down, destroy off the Yubel. This will then float into the Terror Incarnate. Of course, if you needed to get the Yama in the graveyard, you could do that as well. Obviously, keep in mind the only thing you're fearful of right now is you are Fiend locked, so you just need to keep that in mind. You can then use Terror Incarnate plus the Yubel, Yama. And because we're going second, you're going to Anguish. You can use Anguish's effect to link with one of your opponent's monsters. Again, you're Fiend locked, but that's not really much of an issue because you can very easily go into Rage just to get your Rage into rotation. Then use Rage and your Shavara to get into a Promethean Princess. You're going to use Shavara's effect to get you the Trap card, wherever it may be, just in case you can't complete an OTK for any reason whatsoever. You're then going to use your Shavara to bring this back. Your Promethean Princess to bring this back. Your Fire Locked, you're going to link those both together. You're going to get into an Amber Whale. And now we still haven't even used the Revival off the Spirit Gates, and we haven't even used the Grave Scrimmer effect yet, which I think I have stepped ahead, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. Because what we'll do here is we'll discard a card, so we'll discard one of our Fenrirs, using it off of the back of the gates, and we'll bring back Spirit. And then what you can do here is you can special summon down the Grave Squirmer. Grave Squirmer's effect to pop the Spirit. This will then allow you to float into the second Yubel from the deck, just to get them both into rotation. If you want to, you can very easily banish the Yama. But like I said, you kind of want to leave Yama there. You want to either leave Yama or the Grave Squirmer there, just so you have that ability to crack back should you want to. So it really is up to you which one you want to go for. If you want to use your Yama, you can do. It really is up to you. So you could chain the Yama here because you destroyed with the Grave Squirmer. This would then allow you to bring back your Spirit. Overlay both of these. Like, just ignoring the Fenrir. Fenrir is just a nice extension, but ignore the Fenrir at this exact point. I'll show you how you basically just OTK with these two, but you should be OTKing with what you've got here. So what you do now is you go into the battle phase. You will declare specifically first with the Amber Whale, and the Amber Whale at this moment in time, like if you did the Grave Squirmer, you would actually be on 34 because you would have left the Yama in the graveyard. But at the moment, you've got a Rage, you've got an Anguish, and you've got a Promethean Princess. So this would be swinging in for 32. Then you attack with the Valdras. Now the Valdras at the start of the damage step, if this card attacks, while it has materials, you get to destroy one card on the field. So you're going to destroy the Amber Whale. And in doing so, this will then bring you back the Princess. So you'd be swinging in for 3k there. Princess then swings in for 27, and that completes the game. Now, obviously, keep in mind, you still had a Fenrir. That's another 24 and a Banish. So you could attack with this first, banish a card, get it off the way. Attack with your Amber Whale, do the exact same play. Plus, you also still had the Grave Squirmer that you can just very easily link off, get it to the graveyard, banish it, bring back any one of your Yubel monsters, which at this moment in time, you would have one Yubel still there or a Terror Incarnate. They're going to attack and your opponent's going to take the damage because of Nightmare Pain. You're still in the battle phase, so if you really, really wanted to and you really needed to, you could activate Super Poly using Yubel, your own Promethean... you couldn't use Promethean Princess because it'd be a fire. So before you bring out the Promethean Princess, you can also Super Poly, clearing your board off, getting you more damage on the board. But you shouldn't need to. What I'm saying is you've got your 4 cards here. The only thing you need to be careful of is when you bring this back is you are pushing for OTK because you are fire locked. And then after that point, there is nothing else in your extra deck that is fire. So you're then just waiting for your opponent to kill this so you can then Amber Whale banish. But the idea is still there the same. Like, as long as you're keeping the Promethean Princess and remembering you are fire locked when she's on the board, you can still do everything else you need to. But the idea is the OTK just off of the back of the Valdras and the Amber Whale is attack, attack, destroy, float back. That's your 8k OTK you need. But like I said, if you already have your other cards on there, like your Fenrirs, keep any of your Yubels in play, then you're good. And we only used one of our 2 revivals there. So, yeah, I hope this kind of gives you a bit of an idea of how the deck operates now and just how good the Amber Whale and Promethean Princess play is. I think it's just one of them ones that is not a force of the format or the force of the way it is, but I feel that to get the most out of it, you kind of have to play it that way. So I highly advise you, if you don't have them already, pick up Promethean Princess. This is kind of like £14. And then pick up an Amber Whale because these are starting to get a little bit more hype in Tempai as well. But I think when a card is as good as this is only like £13 to £14, it's worth picking up. And then an Amber Whale, you've just got a very small engine there. And I do like the idea that this can just keep bringing back the Shavara, which is really kind of cool as well. Anyway, Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Any questions at all, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.